Stoic strategies for controlling your anger. Anger is one of the most instinctive human emotions, raw, forceful, and often destructive. It demands to be expressed, but rarely with wisdom. While modern culture usually justifies anger as a sign of strength or authenticity, the Stoics viewed it differently, not as a force to be indulged, but as a fire to be controlled. To them, anger was never a measure of righteousness, but a test of character. In a world that constantly provokes us through offense, injustice, or mere inconvenience, the true victory lies not in reacting quickly, but in responding wisely. In this episode, we have laid out 8 Stoic principles that offer timeless strategies for mastering anger, not by denying it, but by transforming it into clarity, virtue, and inner freedom. Through practice, these teachings help us move from emotional chaos to calm composure, from reactive instinct to deliberate self-command. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Let's dive in. 1. Pause and observe before reacting. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Said Marcus Aurelius. In the moment of offense, we often feel compelled to react. But reaction without reflection is where most regret is born. The Stoics teach us to honor the gap between stimulus and response, to recognize that this space is not weakness, but wisdom. When you pause and observe your rising anger, you create room for reason to enter. This pause allows emotion to surface without being granted authority. It invites you to notice, where is this coming from? What is it trying to protect? In this sacred pause, you are no longer a puppet of emotion, but a steward of your own response. It is the first step from reactivity to responsibility. 2. Understand the source. People act from ignorance. No one does wrong willingly. When others wrong us, our ego rushes to interpret their actions as personal and malicious. However, the Stoics offer a more liberating perspective. People often act out of ignorance, not out of evil. That ignorance may be due to fear, pain, trauma, or a lack of wisdom, not a calculated desire to harm. To understand this is to reclaim your peace. It doesn't mean tolerating abuse or injustice, but it does mean refusing to become a mirror of their brokenness. When you shift from judgment to compassion, you disarm anger's grip and step into a higher level of emotional intelligence. Seeing others clearly without distortion allows you to respond wisely rather than react destructively. 3. Shift the focus inward. Master yourself, not others. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, said Marcus Aurelius. The most common source of frustration is the futile attempt to control what lies beyond our control: other people, their words, and the outcomes of our plans. But the Stoics call us back to the only realm where true control exists: our inner world. This redirection is revolutionary. Instead of saying, "They made me angry," you begin asking, "What inside me is reacting to this and why?" You become less focused on external change and more committed to internal growth. This mindset shift, from control to mastery, frees you from the tyranny of circumstance and empowers you to live with grounded clarity. 4. Expect challenges in advance. The wise man considers that everything is uncertain. The Stoics prepared their hearts daily for the trials of life, not to become cold, but to become capable. The premeditation of evils is a mental rehearsal of adversity. By envisioning likely frustrations ahead of time, we protect our peace before it is put to the test. This strategy doesn't rob us of joy, it anchors us in reality. Life is unpredictable. People will fail you. Plans will break. The Stoic who anticipates this remains calm where others collapse. You don't have to be surprised by difficulty when you've already welcomed it in thought. As a result, you move through your day prepared, not paranoid, resilient, not reactive. View anger as a temporary madness. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it, said Seneca. Anger, in its rawest form, blinds reason and distorts perception. Under its spell, we rewrite reality, exaggerate offenses, and justify harmful actions. That's why Seneca likened it to madness. It takes hold of the mind and leads it astray. But like madness, it is temporary, if we allow it to pass. The Stoic waits, breathes, and delays judgment. In time, clarity returns. What felt like a burning injustice may later appear as a small misunderstanding. By not acting from the height of emotion, we protect our dignity and preserve relationships. Wisdom waits. Pride reacts. 6. Practice forgiveness as self-liberation. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover the prisoner was you. Forgiveness is not a gift to the other. It is a release of yourself from the bondage of bitterness. Resentment is a silent poison that corrodes your peace while doing nothing to affect the one who wronged you. The Stoics weren't sentimental about forgiveness. They viewed it as strategic sanity. Holding on to anger doesn't restore justice. It reinforces suffering. Forgiveness doesn't require forgetting or reconciling. It simply means saying, I will no longer give this offense the power to own my mind. You do it not because they are worthy, but because you are. 7. Reflect on mortality. Life is too short for grudges. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Remembering death is not about fear, but urgency. The Stoics used it to sharpen their priorities and purify their emotions. When anger rises, the question is not, is this justified? But instead, is this worth my finite time on earth? When you realize each breath is borrowed, you stop squandering it on trivial offenses. You choose forgiveness not because it's easy, but because time is too short to waste on rage. You release grudges not because others are good, but because you want to spend your life free from them. Mortality becomes your compass, pointing always toward what truly matters. 8. Choose reason over rage. Let virtue be your guide. A Stoic is not angry at sinners, but he teaches them instead, said Epictetus. In a world driven by reaction and retribution, choosing reason is a radical act. The Stoic doesn't suppress anger, they transcend it. They ask, what does wisdom demand here? What would justice look like? What action reflects courage and restraint? Virtue becomes the North Star, leading you not away from emotion, but through it with clarity. Where rage would destroy, virtue builds. Where emotion would dominate, principle directs. A Stoic doesn't deny feeling, but decides what feeling deserves a response and what does not. The Stoics never promised that anger would disappear, but they promised it could be controlled and managed. These 8 strategies aren't about becoming detached or indifferent. They are about becoming deeply aligned with wisdom, courage, and peace. To rule yourself is to become unshakable in a shaky world. So, when anger next knocks, greet it. Not with obedience, but with observation. Ask it questions, offer it perspective, then let it pass. Because in the end, it's not anger that defines you, but how you rise above it.